2 crucially missed free throws, followed up by a ton of Carolina hustle, followed up by a little bit of help from Pitt, and Carolina survives and advances, baby. Let's talk about it. Huddle up.
You don't want none! You don't want none!
What's going on, Tar Heel Nation? It is your favorite North Carolinian, Russ, the Tar Heel. And in this huddle, baby, we're going to talk about the 67-66 win that North Carolina just had over the Pitt Panthers in Chapel Hill, man. And like I said, bro, how much of this was Carolina winning the game and how much was Pitt losing the game? You know, that's a discussion in and of itself. But I do know this one thing for sure, bro. I'm going to celebrate a victory for my Tar Heels. Now, before I get into the intricate details of this thing, man, and my thoughts, let's go over some quick stats real quick. Pitt shot 42.3% from the field, 47.1% from three. They had 9 turnovers and 33 rebounds, which were 6 more than Carolina's 27. So at one point, I think in the first half, Carolina was +6 on the glass. They ended up finishing the game -6 on the glass, which was kind of an interesting turn of events. Carolina just was having a lot of trouble rebounding in the later stages of the game. Now, the Heels shot 48.1% from the floor, 46.7% from three, and they only had 6 turnovers, bro. And that was one of the things that I had really said was a key to the game, is the fact that Carolina had to protect the basketball. And for large portions of this thing, they actually did. And we'll delve more into that when I get into my personal thoughts on this daggone game. Now, box score. Their leading scorer, Pitt that is, was Cameron Corrin. He finished the game with 17 points, 7 for 9 from the floor. Jalen Lowe actually fouled out of the game with 15, and Ishmael Leggett was unable to kind of carry the weight after Jalen fouled out of the game. Dude, surprising star in this one, dude. And he ended up not being the leading scorer. That was RJ Davis with 18, which we'll talk about him in a second. But my man Ven-Allen Lubin was daggone feasting in the paint, especially early in this daggone ball game, man. 22 minutes of play, 8 for 12 from the field. He finished with 17 points and 4 rebounds, man. And just a fantastic game from Ven-Allen Lubin. And a lot of it was just his ability to get really good position inside. And the guards were actually giving him really good feeds, man. And he was finishing around the basket. So shout out to Ven-Allen Lubin, dude, for really being a decent interior presence in this basketball game, man. And he really did, man. He played a tremendous game as a whole. Probably his best game as a Tar Heel. Matter of fact, I know it's his best game as a Tar Heel, man. Seth Trimble played 35 minutes, finished with 15 points. Had a decent game from him. He also had 7 rebounds. He led the team in rebounds. And then RJ Davis had some clutch makes at the end of this game. 38 minutes of play, 18 points, 6 of 12 from the field. That's 50%, and 3 for 5 from 3. That is 60% from beyond the arc. He had 3 assists and no turnovers. So RJ played a really good game himself. Drake Powell off the bench, man, finished with 10 points. Came on really strong later in the game. And, you know, before I forget, I want to give a huge shout out to Drake Powell, because Drake not only made a couple of big threes, man, but you can't say that he was the best player on the floor, but he was by far the headiest player on the floor. Got his hands in the passing lanes, played really good defense, took advantage of his opportunities when they were given to him, man. And I was extremely impressed with the game that my man Drake Powell played. He made an impact on this game in far more places than just the actual scorecard that we're looking at right here. So really good game from him. Ian Jackson, man, 22 minutes, 0 for 3 from the field, 0 for 1 from 3. He had 2 rebounds, 3 assists, 1 turnover, 0 points, which was pretty stinking wild, man. I don't even know what really to say about Cap. You know, was he off? Was he disinterested? I don't know, man. He really seemed to struggle, and it just was not a good game for him at all in this basketball game. But when Ven-Allen Lubin is scoring 17 and being a post presence down low, that can kind of make up for that. The 17 points that Captain Jack didn't score, Ven-Allen Lubin did. So, thoughts on the basketball game. So first and foremost, and like I said, my intentions here is to just keep it a buck with you guys, okay? Both of these teams are almost identical. They're very, very similar and even, almost to the makeup of the team, to the point where, both of these games have been pretty daggone tight. And Carolina gets out of here with a 1-point victory, off of a missed Pitt jumper that could have been possibly called a foul on EC. I mean, I've seen them call more ticky-tack fouls during the game, but there was a no call. I like them letting them be a little more physical at the end of the game, make them stink and earn it, and he still got off a clean shot, and I think that was one of the reasons for the no call. But, Carolina in the first probably 12 or 13 minutes of this game, I thought that they were running really good sets for their personnel, man. They were passing the ball. There was guys flashing to the high post. They were getting really good interior passes to guys like Ven-Allen Lubin, who was down there eating because he was just carving out space and getting good positioning, and they found him. And, Carolina built an 11-point lead running that style of offense. And, it seemed to just deteriorate towards the later stages of the second half, or the later stages of the first half, where Carolina kind of reverted back to what they had been doing that got them in trouble for, the majority of the year, if you will. And that is, passing the ball around the post, not even looking inside, and then eventually getting late in the shot clock and doing this one-on-one thing with RJE and EC. You stink and name it. And you'll see at one point that Carolina had an 11-point lead, and then they go on a just crazy 5-minute scoring drought from 6:41 to, I think, after 2 minutes was the next time that Carolina scored in the first half, which allowed Pitt to go on an 8-0 run and basically finish the half only down by 3. When, Carolina had played pretty good basketball up to that point, till about the 8-minute mark. And then, once again, I don't know if it's a lack of focus. I don't know if it's just the offensive sets that they're running, but they stopped doing what worked, and it allowed the Pitt Panthers to get back in the game. And like I said before, man, when people talk about the personnel and how this is a personnel issue, I vehemently disagree, because Carolina has the personnel to do what they did in the first 12, 13 minutes of this basketball game. They've done it before. It is the scheme of going away from that offense and going to this isolation basketball-esque thing. And it really did hurt Carolina, man, for, I would say, basically the middle 20, maybe middle 25 into the last 5 minutes of the second half, where Carolina had a little bit better ball movement as well. But, HD called some timeouts in this one. Some of them were timely. Some of them were kind of questionable. But, I felt like he attempted to do, some coaching. And I thought that, some of it kind of resonated with the players. And all in all, with what Carolina's put on the floor, I'm pleased with the effort, from the staff down. Now, I still wish that we would stink and run some daggone press, man. I still wish that we would, change up our half-court defense every once in a while, especially when, Jalen Lowe is continually able to go to his left hand. It's his strong hand, and he's scoring at will. I just wish that we would change it up a little bit more on defense, to be completely honest with you. And then not to go away from what's working early in the first half, because I don't think I'm the only one that kind of noticed that. We're getting great ball movement, good penetration, really good feeds from our guards to the interior, and it's working. And then we just kind of seemingly go away from that. So that's kind of the frustrating thing for me, despite this win. Carolina also had 2 opportunities at the free throw line to kind of put this thing on ice. And, Ven-Allen Lubin missed the front end. Carolina ends up getting the ball back, almost get a stinking turnover. Seth also misses the front end, so Carolina has to hold on with a 1-point lead. And Pitt could have very well, this is what we got to understand, guys. Pitt had multiple opportunities to win this basketball game. And we could be very well on the other end of this thing saying, here we go again. Here we go again. And, we ended up getting this one done. Like I said, some of that's Carolina, some of that is Pitt not taking advantage of the multiple opportunities we tried to hand them this stinking basketball game. And then just once again, not putting the foot on the neck and seizing the game. We should have won that game at the free throw line, not won that game on a missed Pitt jumper. That's my stinking point. But all in all, like I said, you can be excited for the win and simultaneously acknowledge that there's still a ton to be concerned about. And you know what? It is what it is, because Carolina moves to 14-10, 7-5 in the conference, which was a much needed win against Pitt, which I think is going to be a quad 2 if I'm not mistaken. So I think that will move Carolina to 5-0 against quad 2 opponents, if I'm not mistaken. And they were 45th in the net. This may move them up a little bit. We'll have to wait and see. But a big game is looming on Monday when Carolina goes down to Little John to play the Clemson Tigers. And once again, it's an opportunity. It is a daunting task. Clemson is one of the better teams in the ACC this year, okay? Daunting task, but with a daunting task comes opportunity. And you cannot convince me that Carolina doesn't have the personnel to show up on Monday night and get it done. We'll just have to wait and stink and see. But Carolina wins 67-66. That moves into 14-10, 7-5 in the conference. And maybe we just kind of pick up a little bit of steam, get a little bit of confidence, right? We survive and advance in this kind of stage of every game is almost a one and done. It's like a tournament game, right? It's kind of how Carolina needs to really, take these games as their tournament games, right? You need to win them. And this is a big one coming up on Monday. But we got a big one right here tonight. So you let me know what you think about this basketball game down in the comment section. Tar Heel and Pitt Panther Nation. If you haven't already, man, please do me a favor and like, share, and subscribe to the channel. And the He'll survive and advance, baby. That's really all you can stick and ask for at this point, the juncture of the season. And we should be happy and celebrate. So great day to be a Tar Heel. We'll catch you on the next one, Tar Heel Nation.